it's something spiritual while you are here. You're not here based on, well, this is some good, let's go take in some knowledge or something. This is not another form of entertainment. You were born to be at this particular time, at this time, getting this particular information, because the people who are to return, we looking at, they call it the return of the great old ones. These great cosmic beings is coming back. These people are, you see in the Bible, in the Revelations, which was not written by Patmos. They got they have a Persian Revelations that they got from Persia that they copied it shamelessly. You can get the book Parallel Myths. Anybody got some? First of all, we need to do something. How many people got how many people got a pencil and a piece of paper? Right. So anybody, you need to, I got some paper here, because you need to write some of this stuff down too, because we don't cover a lot today. So if you don't have some pencil and a piece of paper, you all need to share it around. And anybody need another pen or something? Or something like that. Huh?
I have 50 pens in the car. How many pens do you need?
Yeah. Yeah, go get some pens. And we got plenty of paper.
Yeah, I'm gonna get us.
Got paper, because you need to write this stuff down, because this is no different than any other class. Emory, Georgia Tech, Georgia State does not come to the market on motherfuckers learning nothing. You see, and especially when it comes to them giving lies or whatever. No, they have truth there. It's just, you know, you go there, they tell you time is money, and you better learn what they tell you. But they got the truth right in the library, at least there. It's something to say about the black schools, you know, on that particular level. I went to Clark, Atlanta, and shit, you know. We didn't have any of this type of information, so. But, are we still on? Yeah. Good. So, but in so many words, going back, like I said, the book of Revelations, which was shamelessly taken from the Persian Revelations, and you can get the book J.R. Bierland's book. Let's see, J.R. Bierland. It's called Parallel Myths. Parallel Myths. And you can see the actual Persian Revelation up in there. And you can see that they just copied it from one another, and basically these were not the fragments. Raise your hand if you want a pencil. Yeah. These are not the fragments that came out of the Library of Alexandria and out of Kemet that floated around the ancient world and ended up being articles that was later on translated into what you would call the Bible. The Bible is not but pamphlets and a simulation of information floating around, edited down by authors, and they had nothing to do with the real Word of God. You got take for instance, you got your book of the book of Ezekiel, and most of your first 5 books of Moses is nothing but just copied from the Hermetic text out of, and then you have your Gnostic scripts, which is other ones out of Kemet, later day stuff, and that was later on translated into the New Testament. So you're talking about ancient editing. It has nothing to do no more than the Word of God that nobody else didn't have. The only difference here is, which has thrown people off, is the ancient world. The ancient world understood that these Abraham, let's say, what the Hebrews tried to fake the stuff is. The ancient world knew that these mystical Isis, Osiris, Horus, and all of these particular figures was number one, principles of the human body, and number one, groups of people that would resurface end of an era or end of an age or the end times. So most of this was prophecy, and they was talking about us. We got the actual Hermetic text that talk about that. The next thing was, these were principles, formulas, and they were mythical characters that didn't exist on one realm. At least they were mystical gods that existed in another dimension. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But as far as what happened is, by the time you had the set of whatever the Hebrew people, which is not the followers of Akhenaten, coming out of Egypt, because remember your Torah was written, 700 years after Moses. So these followers of Akhenaten what they did is throwing people off based on Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And what is throwing the people off is they historicalized sublime figures. So you got Osiris, but you also have Amun-Ra. Amun means hidden. Ra means sun, hidden sun. Amun-Ra. The hidden sun is basically your soul on the inside of you. You see, so Osiris is the hidden god in Amenta, the underworld. Then you get Brahma in India. You see, one of the same figures, Brahma in India. And then by the time you get to Hebrew, you get the word Abraham. Look at the word Abraham. Look at the word Amun-Ra. And look at the word Brahma. There's another word, Abraxas, Abron. You'll find out that these particular Amun-Ra and stuff, you get Abraham, but the only thing about Abraham, which is the same thing that the priests knew, is they historicalized the person. So there was never no sons and daughters or no Abraham that existed as a human father that fathered the people of Israel. Israel, Isis, Ra, and El, Elohim, Al. The word Al is another word for Chaldean word for Horus, or Heru. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about principles here. So Jacob, Isaac, Jacob's ladder is the backbone of Osiris, the jet pillar. The jet pillar is called Shet pillar. Jesus, so the Shet pillar is the Kundalini energy in the blood, or your blood vessels in the back of you. These particular blood vessels, if you rip your skin off, you'll see they got these blood vessels in the back of you. So, in one mythology, Moses' rod parts the Red Sea. Well, the Red Sea is the blood vessels in the back. And the Kundalini energy rises up and parts the Red Sea. Who didn't get a handout? You need one?
Yeah, I didn't get one.
Yeah, okay, I got two left. Okay. And the rest, when they come, and the brother back there didn't get one. Yeah, you get one, yeah. Okay. So, so the Kundalini energy rises up, and once the Kundalini rises up, you go to the higher level. So that's the Moses parting the Red Sea, the blood vessels, rises Kundalini energy, which is a fire at the base of your spine rising up. It's called the backbone of Osiris, the jet pillar, or the shed pillar. Jesus shed his blood. So you can have life. It's the same retelling of the Kundalini rises on up. So the same thing as the whole Jacob's ladder thing. You see how these things go? So we're talking about metaphysical, esoteric principles, later on historicalized. So sublime mythology makes grotesque history. Most of your biblical, what's throwing you off is you're thinking these are historical things that happen to people. And they're mystical principles that are inside of the human experience in the human body, but they're mystical people of a people in the future. You see what I'm saying? Of a people in the future. And the concept here, we're talking about dealing with magic today, or dealing with going to higher powers, is all in your mind as far as you got the power. It's just like a person driving a gasoline truck. One person knows to deliver it somewhere, another person will be some person that's blind and just stole the truck and riding around with all this power and don't know what the fuck it is. You see what I'm saying? So the concept here is today is to break down just exactly in the principles of just exactly how to acquiesce this power, but based on also your mental abilities to just understand what you're dealing with in the world around you. But so before we start, anybody have some questions right quick? You know, because what we're doing is more, other than a lecture, we're doing more of a seminar here to get to the bottom of some things. So anybody got a question about anything right quick, just to start things off with? Yeah, good.
Moses basically is an African word, Tutmosis.
Tutmosis, Moses to draw out of water.
Right, so is there any historical evidence that Moses lived as a Christian deity or a Christian entity?
No, there's no historical, the story, basic, okay, the only historical story we have, and that's which is good when I get the paper, get Gary Greenberg's book, The Moses Mystery. Anybody, you need something, you need more paper or something, anything, you got some stuff to write on or something? There's a notebook here or something. Gary Greenberg's book, The Moses Mystery. The Moses mystery, that's a good thing about me. You benefit because I have all the scholarship. That way, this don't be, oh father, can you give me some shit? And I go, oh yeah, you know, and then you got to depend on me. You know, you can get the book. Gary Greenberg's book, The Moses Mystery. I think the Jews got on and made him change it to Bible Myth. But the other one is, his other book is, no, then another book is Ahmed Osman. And it used to be called Moses and Akhenaten, one and the same.
What was that called again?
Ahmed Osman. Moses and Akhenaten, one and the same. So you got the Moses Mystery by Gary Greenberg, which is a Jew, high-end Jew, all types of degrees. The other one is Ahmed Osman's book, Moses. In the new, it used to be called Moses and Akhenaten, one and the same. I think the name of it now is Moses, Pharaoh of Egypt. Is the new name. Okay. And then there's Moses and Monotheism by Sigmund Freud. And so the story is you had a group of Akhenaten followers that was asked to leave Kemet after Akhenaten tore down the priesthood for 15 years at Tel al-Amarna and established his order of Aten, which was an Ethiopian deity of Ra-Heru-Kahudi or Ra-Ha-Kuit, coming out of Ethiopia, Aten or Ra-Ha-Tidi, but he kind of misconstrued a little bit of the mysteries. But what he did is when he shut down the other priesthood, he created a form of dogma. Anyway, the priest was going to kill his behind, and they was like, you need to get the trucking and stuff. And they might have taken him out. But anyway, he had a high priest, because Akhenaten was raised in Kemet and couldn't speak his mother's language that came from Cush. So they had a high priest, a Cushite priest in the mysteries of Amun-Ra, who could speak the language, and that was the actual Moses figure. But it's a combination of the emancipator is Moses, Akhenaten, and this high priest. Now the Torah, or the first 5 books of Moses, wasn't written until 700 years after either this high priest died or Akhenaten died. We know it's a collaboration of two. The actual emancipator, or the actual person who was the heretic king that went against the Egyptian priesthood, was Akhenaten. But he had a high priest with him, which is this Moses fella, Tutmosis, these particular names, who was probably the person who put the actual text together by using the Hermetic text. They just basically used text that was already in Kemet. And one of those, the Exodus period, the Exodus thing of, now if you're uncomfortable, sister, you got that, you can chill back in the chair and you can get the brother, the soldier to see. Are you all right? Yeah, you know, but the Exodus period was some scripts that came out of Egypt. It was coming out of Hermetic text about people being in bondage in a place for 400 years, and all of that stuff was talking about America. Because I said that these texts were talking about in the future. We have the Hermetic texts that talk about that in the Perfect Sermon. They knew we was going to go into slavery and all of that. 5,000 years before. And those still exist. The Hermetic text of Asclepius. You can get several books on that. The ones that's in print. That has that Hermetic text in there.
The Hermetic text of what?
It's called, this is called a Hermetica. And the name of the book that's still in print is, get this one, because one is going to be hard to get. One is called Hermetica by Peter Gandy and Peter Gandy and Timothy Freak. Peter Gandy and Timothy Freak. Hermetica. That one is still in print. And it's a little smaller book and stuff, and it gets straight to the point. But the prophecy of where we're going to go into slavery and all of this stuff is in that particular text. So we knew we was going to go into slavery. As a matter of fact, oh yeah, we knew it. We had a 5,000-year prophecy in the Hermetic text, which is some text that came out of Egypt. Hermes is the Greek word for Tahuti, or Thoth, or Tahuti. So it's called